Joe! Joe の野郎。鬼姫が完全にぶっ潰しやがって。
Oh my god. Hello everyone, welcome to Joe Consumes Cinema. I'm your host, Predicting the Punch, and today we have Ashita no Joe, episode 39. So, last episode was really interesting. We got the fight between Wolf and Joe finally started, and Joe's doing really well initially, very disciplined, but Wolf slowly gets into it, starts to pick up the pace, and starts scoring some real damage against Joe, knocks him down in the third round. Joe gets back up, and he employs the no-guard tactic, hoping to set up the right cross counter, his Sunday punch at this point. And Wolf is ecstatic because he thinks he finally has his moment to land his counter to that punch. I couldn't tell from the animation what punch he actually ended up throwing. It looked like he went in, planning to throw the left straight that would set up the right cross counter, but when Joe was on the ground and the animation had finished, it looked like Wolf had thrown, a right cross counter as Joe was coming in. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened. I kind of had a little bit of time to think about this, and there was a fighter in Hajime no Ippo called Raccoon Boy, and he was ambidextrous. And also, he had this weird habit where he could flip his stance, like mid-stride. So, when Wolf was going in, his left foot was forward, and he was going to throw, the left straight. When the animation finished and Joe was on the ground, his right hand was forward, his right foot was forward, and his right arm was, followed all the way through. And it looked like he had switched stances and then hit with the right at the same time. Maybe that's what happened? I'm not sure. It's weird. And the fact that they're being particularly mysterious with, what happened right now, I don't know. It could kind of go either way. There's a lot of different things that could have happened, but it looked like, that's a key possibility at this point. I'm just not 100% sure, but that's my guess for right now. I honestly don't know because, again, we literally didn't see that sequence because they, focused elsewhere and, freeze framed it. And then, by the time we got back to normal speed and everything and we got everybody's reaction to the punch, Joe was on the ground and, his right hand was forward, his right foot was forward too. So yeah, it could honestly be a ton of different things, but that's my guess for right now. But yeah, that could easily be wrong. And yeah, I'm really eager to get to this one and actually find out. But before we begin, as always, remember to blank, blank, and blank. Still very much a small channel, so every like, comment, share, subscribe that we can get really helps out. Really appreciate it. Patreon link down below. I'm really trying to push the Patreon this year, so if you could sign up, even just as a free member, you'd be doing me a ton of good. With that, let's get right to it. Sando Bagni Ka Omega Ke Tatake 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 Ashita wa Kitto Ashita wa Dochi da
待っていたぜ矢吹城。新人王ともてはやされていた俺は貴様のあり地獄のようなクロスカウンターの血祭りになって以来、今こそお見舞いするぜ必殺のクロスカウンター破りよ。ありがてえ。
Yeah, it looks like he's following through with a right hand that he pulled out at the last second. The triple cross of victory? Wow. Jesus. Barely did it. He's gonna use it again. Thank God for the bell. Oh shit. Went to the wrong corner.
ほらよ、勘違いしちゃ困るよ。お前さんのコーナーはあっちだよ。ほらゴングで助かりやがって運のいい野郎だ。では早速スロービデオで見ることにしましょ
Here we go.
う。ウルフの左ストレートを待っていたとばかりに矢吹がクロス。ご覧なさい。ウルフの左を。これです。
The bend.
そしてですよ。これです。
Okay. The bend in the arm prevents Joe's right from following through, and then it's free to slam a right hand home. But that wasn't showed in the animation before. They hit it.
どうしたね、丹下君。その虎の子を潰されんうちにこの辺で危険したらどうかね。
They're not done. His face finally changed. Joe's smiling.
それに比べ矢吹完全に足に来てますな。立っているのがやっとという感じだ。この辺でまた左ストレートを打ってやろうか。
Good thing he's such an arrogant prick. Did it again. Not sure what the hell Joe's plan is here. That time, Dangpei and Nishi both grimaced, so that wasn't how it was supposed to go.
不思議か、こいつ。矢吹、また際どいカウントで立った。だがよ、心配かけやがって。じゃあまた左行くぜ。やったー！
Oh shit.
このラウンド2度目のダウン。見ておられませんな。これは試合になっとな。ほう。
It took a little bit of damage, but Joe got the worst of it again.
いやい、レフリー、まだ試合を続けさせる気か。試合を中止しろ。このままじゃ矢吹は死んじまうぞ。早くタオルを投げろってばよ。いや、ジョーに限ってタオルもレフリーも不要だ。あの目が TKO を食らうボクサーの目か。だがもういい。今度は本当におめえの好きな左ストレートでとどめを刺してやる。
Here we go. He threw a left cross. He got the worst of it. Oh my god. His face is broken. Jesus. He basically knocked out all of his teeth. Just stay on your feet for 10 seconds. Oh god. 10 more seconds. There you go. Hold on to the rope.
5, 8.
Oh, he needs to go to the hospital. Holy shit.
ドクター、早く。矢吹城、今回 KO が。
Okay, that really was the greatest 6-round fight in history. Look, Joe had nothing left.
Joe! 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 よくやった
The kids have been avenged.
矢吹の逆転 KO 勝ちと結果だけは分かりましたが、これは一体これはですが、トリプルクロスカウンターとでも言いますか。
Triple cross counter.
その恐るべきウルフのダブルクロスのさらに上を矢吹は言ったんです。まあ、ウルフの新戦法の決め手である右ストレートにさらにクロスさせたカウンター、つまりトリプルクロスカウンターですな。この試合は終始カウンターの打ち合いでした。矢吹城は
He really needs to go to a hospital. Holy shit.
まあ、私も今まで長年この仕事をやってきましたが、こんな何とも言えない不思議な感動に胸を打たれたことはありませんでした。いいぞ、殺しが
Nobody's happier than this guy right here.
だった。ジョー、次は俺の番だぜ。
Wow. I mean, that's a great moment right there. Ashita
を目指し
Ashita
て立ち上がる
Tate. 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 Tatsunda Joe. Okay, it took some time just to gather my thoughts. Episode 39, really, really good episode. So, last episode ended with Wolf delivering his right cross counter to the right cross counter, I should say. And we didn't see it in the previous episode because they were purposely hiding it from us. But this episode, the two announcers ringside literally went over the tape in slow motion and saw what Wolf had done. I talked about it way earlier when we were first talking about all this stuff, like a couple episodes back, but he literally bent his left arm so that it would deflect the right coming in from Joe when he's setting up the punch. And, you know, it doesn't have anywhere to go because of the bend in the arm. It, like, blocks it. And then he's free to deliver his own right at that point. That's exactly what he did. And the animation just wasn't super clear. That's why I was talking about, you know, the whole thing with Hajime no Ippo and Raccoon Boy and, you know, all that stuff, the ambidextrous fighter. I knew it had to be something where, you know, last second you expect one punch and you get the other one, and that's exactly what happened here. It's just it was my initial thought process where it was, you know, block with the left, turn the left straight into, like, you know, a deflecting move, and then slam home a right. Joe takes it, goes down hard. You know, he's pretty much done for at that point, and Rikishi, you know, won't let this stand. Like, he's supposed to fight Joe next. So he runs over to the ring and starts, you know, slamming his fists on the canvas, yelling for Joe to get up, and finally he wakes up and just barely manages to get back to his feet. That was a great moment right there in and of itself. And then on top of that, Joe goes down one more time before finally setting up, you know, the last hurrah, where Wolf is coming in to finish him, and he's getting really cocky at this point. He thinks, you know, Joe's done for. So he says, "I'll hit you with that left you like so much," and sets it up exactly as he did the last time, except this time Joe counters his counter. So they called it a triple counter. Wolf starts coming in with the straight left. Joe leans in and starts launching the cross counter right. Then Wolf bends his left arm, blocking that attack, and then opening up a right that he can slam home. But just as Wolf is coming back with the right, Joe lands a left cross to counter it. So they called it a triple cross because, you know, you have one setup leading to a counter, leading to another counter. And yeah, the triple is in there. This really just gets back to the whole point I was making before. When you do something over and over again in a fight, your opponent can plan for it. If they know exactly what you're going to do, but you also know what their solution to that approach is, you have a way of countering it yourself. So, yeah, like boxing at the highest level, it doesn't really involve this counter game that they play endlessly, but it can totally happen. Most fighters are smart enough not to rely on one trick. And Joe kind of, in a sort of weird way, did this to himself by constantly using this same technique over and over again. It would eventually force someone to come to the table with their solution to it. And, Wolf just happened to be the first one. He got hit by it and was, humiliated in the locker room, so he had the most motivation to actually do it. But yeah, the point still stands, and now that this fight is, over and done with, Wolf is going to be in the hospital for a long while. He's going to have a wired jaw, absolutely for sure. He lost a lot of teeth here. That was violent as hell, but great. But more interesting is, Joe is going to take some time to heal up, obviously, but after that, we get the fight against Rikishi, and man, as good as this fight was, that shit is going to be even better. But yeah, this was a really good episode, definitely one for the books, and yeah, this show's awesome. Continue to say that, continues to be true. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got, so as always, thanks for watching, and peace.